Welcome back to Gaming News with Spoons. We got some interesting video game information to go over today, so let's go ahead and hop right into it. Let's go ahead and first talk about a few trademarks that have been registered by various companies. We'll go ahead and jump over to our news article here, and the first one is going to be Square Enix trademarks Parasite Eve in Europe. So the article reads, Square Enix has trademarked Parasite Eve in Europe. The first entry in its action franchise launched for PlayStation in 1998, a sequel, Parasite Eve, followed for the platform in 1999. The third entry, titled The Third Birthday, launched for the PSP in 2010. The series has not seen any activity since. So guys, let's go ahead and jump into that and just kind of talk about the Parasite Eve being potentially re-trademarked and what that definitely means. So that could mean a couple of different things. One, it could either mean that Square Enix does have plans for something Parasite Eve related, that we maybe end up seeing maybe some sort of sequel, maybe some sort of remaster. That is a possibility. However, I think one of the bigger possibilities that we need to take a look at with this particular trademark is this is probably more than likely to do with them just having the games available on the PlayStation Store. Parasite Eve 2, maybe they had to re-register their trademarks over there so they can continue to sell them through the PSN Store on PS1 Classics. That to me seems like a very much more plausible scenario into what's going on with Parasite Eve. That being said, I absolutely would love to see Parasite Eve be remade, or maybe just even get another game, much more in the veins of Parasite Eve, rather than the spin-off The Third Birthday, and kind of take maybe the series back to some of its roots. Would be really cool to see Square Enix do. The next trademark that we have is, of course, the Grand Blue Fantasy Relink from Cygames, Romancing Saga from Sega, and Slash Filled from Square Enix. So, it says here on Jimatsu's article, Cygames, the trade has a trademark for Grand Blue Relink in Japan. The trademark includes both the name and logo. The trademark might suggest the final title for the Cygames Platinum Games developed for the PlayStation 4 action RPG Grand Blue Fantasy Project Relink is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. So that's more than likely just what that means, that they're actually just sticking with Grand Blue Relink rather than Grand Blue Fantasy Relink rather than Project Relink, because that is a mouthful to say, let's be completely honest. The other trademarks that have been filed, the Sega Games trademarked Romance Nanatsu Iro no Bokendan, or Romance 7-Colored Adventure Story, and yielding a Google search on that did not pull anything up. Same with Square Enix trademarking the name Slash Field. Now, like I said, pulling up some of that there, the Romance Nasuka Ero Noda Bokadan, and I'm probably butchering those names, and I'm sorry if that be the case, but I think both of those titles, or at least the Sega one, could potentially be something of a visual novel kind of style, because Google putting that into Google did pull up some anime. If those of you are familiar with that anime or that particular visual novel or what's going on there, leave some comments down below and let us know, because I'm very curious to actually see what that is. Now, as for Slashfield, that did not pull up anything other than pictures of the guitarist Slash and things like that, which I highly doubt Square Enix is making a game based on. But thinking of Square Enix's more recent track record and just that name, I do anticipate this to more than likely be a mobile game. So I don't really think anything too spectacular is going to come out of this. Now, we do have one last trademark to talk about that has been filed, so let's go ahead and jump over to Jimatsu's article yet again. So 20th Century Fox trademarks Alien Blackout for use with video games. So the article here just says 20th Century Fox has trademarked Alien Blackout for the use of a computer game disc software, namely game software, and the likes. The teaser image for the Game Awards 2018, which will be December 26, teases the world of change repeated over and over, with 70 themed and font giant with a giant W in the upper left corner, similar to the way Wayland Yucatan Corporation of the Alien franchise. Game developer Hideo Kojima, a friend of the awards show host Jeff Keighley, has seemingly also helped also helped tease an announcement. So what this could potentially mean, I think we have some things to kind of foremost just go over. If this is truly going to be a new announcement for an Alien game coming on December 6th, I do think that we could potentially be looking at the sequel for Alien Isolation, which is definitely the bigger possibility out of them all. However, there is some speculation that this could be a mobile game. Again, this isn't the possibility, but I kind of don't see them making a big deal about it, teasing about this and bringing it to, per se, the Video Game Awards just to make an advertisement for a mobile game. Then again, I could be wrong. Now, the fact that Hideo Kojima is behind this doesn't really surprise me, considering we know how big of a film buff that he is, but I definitely think we could be taking a look more or less at him potentially getting excited for a game, maybe in one of his favorite video game or film universes. I, for one, do hope that this is a sequel to Alien Isolation, because I feel like that is a game that definitely needs to get the sequel treatment, as they did a really great job with that game, and it was a really great game to kind of propel it forward. Now let's get into a potential rumor here, guys, because this one is huge. So for those of you who are fans of Zelda or fans of the Nintendo Switch, you may have already known that Eiji Aonuma, again, I'm sorry I'm butchering his name, or Aonuma, remarks spark rumors of a possible Skyward Sword release for the Nintendo Switch. So if we go ahead and take a look at the article here, it says there's been rumors regarding the Nintendo Switch release of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword based on the title quote from Eiji Aonuma during the Legend of Zelda concert that took place this weekend in Osaka Oryx Theater. Several attendees live tweeted events from the concert weekend, including exchange between Eiji Aonuma and the concert MC Yu Shimamura, who voiced Zelda in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. Shimamura said it definitely makes you want to play Skyward Sword again, if only they release on the Nintendo Switch. Earlier in the concert, several songs later, the Legend of Zelda series producer and manager Eiji Aonuma made an appearance on the stage for a talk session where Shimamura stated that saying, "I'd like to ask about the secrets behind Breath of the Wild," to which Aonuma quipped, "Are you sure you don't want to ask about the Switch version of Skyward Sword?" While it could have been a simple joke from Aonuma, it certainly turned some heads hearing it from the concert manager or unrelated question during the big show. There wasn't any kind of announcement regarding Skyward Sword heading to the Switch during the concert, but Nintendo can definitely expect to hear something if more fans demand it. So guys, let's kind of break down what that's essentially saying. It very well could end up being a joke, but I have heard on numerous occasions that Nintendo could quite possibly be working on a port of Skyward Sword, and honestly, I would be okay with this. Skyward Sword was the one Zelda game that I definitely had a huge problem with, particularly in its motion controls department. I feel like Skyward Sword, though it was a great game, it just was marred by some really irritating controls. Half the time I couldn't get the controls to do what I wanted. Now I'm aware there's people out there who didn't have a problem with the controls, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I could never get Link to swing left, no matter me swinging left, if that actually happened. So it ended up irritating me more than it actually did making me enjoy the game, which is ultimately why I decided to put this down. However, Breath of the Wild is a game I would like to go through, so I definitely would like to see Nintendo work this out on the Switch. Now, one thing to note, they're going to have to do something with the motion controls. I feel like if they're going to put this in handheld mode, they have to map some of the controls to the button. So this may definitely, or the buttons, but it definitely may make a harder version for them to go in and try to port this over, but I think Nintendo could handle it very well. Particularly, I think what they did with The World Ends With You and the touchscreens was kind of stupid, though you can actually pull out the Joy-Cons and use the Joy-Con to move it around on the tablet. It's just not that great of an experience to go in and do so. As for that, I'd like to see the motion controls tweaked out because I hate the motion control gimmicks and so many games with the Wii that tried to force those into the gameplay and just made them feel really unnatural. I am old school and I like to have my controller at hand and just be able to play them that way. So guys, let's get into our next article here. And this is a rather interesting article, I thought, because we have a PS4 game, or a game that was originally on Steam coming over to the PlayStation 4, and this is Ghost of Attell. This is going to be launching on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in February 2019. So Ghost of Attell, which launched in Steam in March and is currently on game preview for the Xbox One, will see a full release on both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One in February 2019. So, Ghost of Attell is an action RPG game in which you play as Tillo, a mouse and minstrel caught in a perilous adventure. The game takes place in the medieval world populated only by animals and puts an emphasis on immersion and exploration. It features stealth elements disguised as conversations with allies and enemies. You'll be able to explore the secrets of Dwindling Heights Keep and navigate its dangers. Tillo is not much of a fighter, so stealth and nimbleness are your allies to confront with enemies twice your size. Talk to the characters you meet and leave no stone unturned in your quest to find Mara, your true love. So, Ghost of Attell was a game on Steam that I actually had some interest in playing. I haven't really bought it yet, but I may just hold off to play this on the PlayStation 4 because why the hell not? Especially if they're going to end up doing some sort of physical release for it. It is a game, what the heck, let's pick it up physical. But Ghost of Attell, as it said, it was an action RPG where you played as a mouse. I definitely took a look at this and got a Redwall kind of vibe from it. For those of you who don't know, Brian Jacques' books, Redwall was also a PBS film that they had turned into there that I watched as a little kid. So I think that's kind of cool. Now, this is probably, I don't think it's related to Redwall in any way, shape, or form, but I still definitely got that vibe. I guess you could also say it kind of has a Prince Caspian vibe as you see more animal characters pop up. And guys, let's get into our last article, and this is going to be Atlus. So, Atlus responds to concerns over Sony's regulations affecting Cathrine full body. So, as you know, we've covered on this channel quite extensively some of Sony's censorship policies, and I have brought up that Cathrine full body is definitely one that I am concerned about. So Atlus Studio Zero has responded to questions regarding Sony Interactive's entertainment regulations regarding adult content affecting Cathrine full body in a series of tweets. The Studio Zero account regularly answers questions submitted by users. Jamatsu even had one of their own answered. Several users asked if Sony's regulations would affect Cathrine full body. Those questions included: are the scenes in the trailers won't get hidden by mysterious lights? Will they? Are there any regulations that weren't in the PlayStation 3 version being put in? That is the only thing I'm a bit worried about. Are white lights going to shine over the ecchi scenes? In regards to the recent talk surrounding PS4, are there any regulations? I want an honest answer. So Studio Zero responds, I will report this here for everyone. There are no mysterious lights in Cathrine full body. We went as far as we could without the light shining. To everyone worried about that, we love you. We received about 10 or more of the same questions. Studio Sheep Zero, man number one. Fun little nod to Cathrine there for those of you who don't know. But Cathrine full body is due out to the PlayStation 4 and PS Vita February 14th in Japan. A Western release is also planned but has not yet been announced. So they did update what was going on, or kind of talking about this during this. So this was updated 11/24/2018. But it said it should be clarified that when answering all these questions in one go, Atlus used the verb that we will translate to not included in two of these responses, but they all connect. It is sort of like this. The scene where the trailers won't get any hidden mysterious lights, will they? As for the mysterious lights being in Cathrine full body, are there any that weren't in the PlayStation 3 version being put in? That's the only thing I'm worried about. They are to be continued. Are there white lights shining over any ecchi scenes? Not included. We want to see we went as far as we could go without the light shining. In regards to the recent surrounding PS4, are there any regulations? I want an honest answer. To everyone worried about that, we love you. We receive about 10 or more of these for the same question. It was a bit difficult to put in English, they said, thus our initial simplified translation. I realized that the change in the context a bit makes it sound as if they are answering each question individually rather than just the mysterious lights question. So guys, let's break this down and talk about what's going on. So Cathrine Full Body, if anyone who has played the original Cathrine knows, it has a lot of risque elements to it. Though the game never actually shows anything, I would say, too graphic, it does insinuate quite a little bit. I mean, you do see a little bit of cleavage, Cathrine on top of Vincent, so there is some sexual nature in that particular regard. Now, one thing I do want to mention, again, I said there's nothing too sexually explicit, but Sony's content, or their lack of wanting anything on their PS3 that remotely reflects that, still does have me worried about Cathrine Full Body. Now, if that's great, they're not going to necessarily put any lights or anything like that, and maybe they have pushed the boundaries to what Sony would allow them to do, but I can half foresee Sony coming in and making them just simply censor out a lot of the content that is in the game, or that is in Cathrine Full Body. Because Sony just doing it for the Western release, it wouldn't really surprise me. And that would essentially just damage the game. I would hope that Atlus would fight Sony tooth and nail for that, and if that be the case, maybe come up with some better solution for their fan base for that particular game. But as of right now, it does sound like Sony and Atlus are okay with what's going on, that there's not going to be any necessarily thing being censored. If any information more than what's being presented here comes available, I will let you guys know. Cathrine Full Body is a game that I'm very passionate about. I enjoyed the original release. I played it on the PlayStation 3, but it was also available on the Xbox 360. And one last little note, it is worth noting that this is only coming to the PlayStation 4 in America and not the PlayStation Vita. Obviously, the PlayStation Vita is pretty much on the way out the door, so I don't really see it being beneficial for them to release Cathrine Full Body over here. But again, guys, I will keep you guys updated on any information that we get regarding censorship from Cathrine Full Body or what's going to go on with that. But for now, I think we can rest assured that Atlus very much doesn't want that to be affected, and I hope that Studio Zero's tweets out here continue forward for the Western release, but only time is going to tell. You guys have been watching Gaming with Spoons. Be sure to hit subscribe there for me to keep up to date with all of my content, so you can keep up to date with all the video game news, especially from the Japanese side. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, links are going to be down below in that description box, and most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. Spoons is checking out.